Morning guys, and welcome back. And welcome back to Wiltshire. Guys, I'm having a bit of a mooch today on the Great Stones Way. Now that's a national trail that essentially runs from Swindon down to Salisbury, and it takes in all the sites of antiquity like Avebury, Stonehenge. It runs for about 50 miles if you pick all these bits up, but I'm only focusing on the northern section of the Great Stones Way, the Avebury Complex, and all the hill forts that are connected. So you can join me on this one, guys. down here, guys, we've got the polisher stone. And this is as smooth as silk. So about 6,000 years ago, the local people used to polish their axes up here, shape them. You know, you've got shallow grooves here, getting sharper and sharper. And man, they've been rubbed big time. And this here is, it's like a ball, it's like a polishing ball. So I came up here last week, guys, and did a bit of a recce. You know, I had an Airbnb for a couple of nights, but it did nothing but rain. And I managed to find this stone, and I was buzzing. I sat here in one hell of a storm. It just came in, and I managed to get me waterproof over all my cameras and just sat here until it went. But what a day, fabulous, dramatic as you like. I didn't want to come and do this walk, guys, and come looking for this stone. I wanted to know exactly where it is so I can show you. And this is a couple of clips that I took last week when I were here. Now, since I found this last week, I was checking the map out. I had Google Maps open on my laptop and I was checking it out. And I just wandered the map up to the top at Ridgeway just to see my route. Polisher stone has got a GPS marking. So you can find it really easy with that. But I'll tell you something, guys, I would recommend just coming having a look. Because when you stumble upon this after you've been looking for an hour or two, what a buzz that is. I'm glad I didn't know about the GPS. I came up through here, I'd probably looked at 100 stones. So like I was saying, I headed out down through the Sarum fields to find the Devil's Den, and I ended up down on the old Bath Road, you know, and it was about a 2-mile walk back to my van up the road in the rain, in sandals. Man, that was dangerous. No pavement, so I would never recommend that, but I would recommend coming here. This is a really special spot. I tingled last week, I had goose flesh when I came here, and I've got goose flesh again. Beautiful. But that's what this walk's all about, guys. I want to find some really interesting bits of antiquity. I mean, we've got the obvious like Stonehenge, Avebury, stuff like that, but we've got a giant's grave that I want to go and have a look at. We've got all the hill forts. We've got 4 or 5 hill forts. The hill forts are dated to the Iron Age. Of course, they were used in the Iron Age, but they were built in the Stone Age. All these valleys, like I've said before, would have been dangerous places. Boggy, full of monsters. So people lived high up on the ridges. They were known as green roads. I got a book in the back I'm going to show you after. I picked it up the other week when we were in the Blue Cottage. Second-hand shop. It was first printed in 1914, and he's walked all these green roads. The high ridge points, the ridgeway, all the hills you see in the distance, they're all linked, all connected over thousands of years. So we're going to explore a bit of that on this walk. So this is the ridgeway that we've just walked. I'm at the sanctuary now. So over here we've got West Kennet Longbarrow, Salisbury Hill and the avenue into Avebury, and that's where we're going to go. And I'm thinking I might go up to Windmill Hill before I come back down, and I can cross over here and head out to the fells. So we can just see Salisbury Hill there through the gap. West Kennet Longbarrow, full of the best in England. Only really rivalled with Wayland's Smithy. Wayland's Smithy, you can't get in. You can with this. Massive stones. I've read stories that people have gone in here and got grabbed by phantoms. Plays on your mind a little bit though, but guys, I'm going in. Good to see you back. Got my little torch. Look at this. Wow. Incredible. Oh, we've got a bit of light coming in. You can see there's been lots of birds up here. Little swallows' nests. One or two pagan offerings. Yeah, apparently a woman came into this bottom chamber and something grabbed her leg. And her husband was too scared to come in. And she ended up crawling out. Freaked out. But it would, wouldn't it? So this is my book I picked up when we were at the Blue Cottage. Got that from Oxfam in Shaftesbury. What a book!
You know, we've got a bunch of maps here, and it shows all the green roads, the original green roads, dating back thousands of years. A lot of walking there, guys. A lot of walking. But I wanted to show you something specific while we were here. It has been suggested by Mr. Cotsworth of York that Salisbury, like the pyramids of Egypt, was built as a great shadow hill to mark the progress of the sun. As the meeting place of the main travelways of the island, Avebury would be an appropriate centre for the erection of a national sun temple and a shadow hill, from which to issue edicts as to the proper seasons for seed time and harvest. The hill is 130 feet high and 110 feet in diameter at the top, and at the base covers rather more than 5 acres.
This is Wadden Hill, and just as we drop off this we've got the avenue. You're gonna love it. Don't be shy. We've got a bit of music down in Avebury. Sounds like there's something going on. But guys, I've just given it a thought. It was the autumn equinox yesterday, so but it's the pagan ritual. Let's go and have a look.
Female.
Farewell, O sun, ever-returning light. Farewell, O sun, ever-returning light. Hidden God, whoever yet remains. Thou depart to the land of youth. Now, see that, you all right? Okay. Same note.
From the secrets that he keeps. Cheers for Darling Hay!
The triangular tableland lying between the Pewsey Valley and the pastures of North Wilts, measuring some 10 to 12 miles on either side, is the meeting place of trackways from the Cotswolds, the Chilterns, the North and South Downs, Salisbury Plain, and the Dorsetshire Hills. In its centre were erected Silbury, the largest artificial hill in Europe, and Avebury Temple, the largest stone circle in the world. Although they are the oldest existing monuments left by the inhabitants of our islands, we possess no earlier record of them than AD 1663, when Aubrey showed these wonderful works to His Majesty King Charles II, and by command wrote an account of their visit. At the present day, the temple consists of a circular earthen bank, 3/4 of a mile in circumference, enclosing 29 acres of level land. Immediately within the bank is a great ditch, originally 30 feet deep, but now averaging 15 feet only, owing to the silting up over the many centuries. The bank stands 15 feet above the ground level, or 45 feet from the bottom of the original ditch. Skirting the inner margin of the ditch was a circle of large stones, of which Dr. Stuckley says 44 were standing in 1722, and that the sites of other stones, to the number of 100, could be traced. Within this large circle were two smaller double circles, of which the outer rings consisted of 30 stones, and each inner ring of 12 stones. In the centre of the southern ring was a huge stone measuring 27 feet high and 8 feet broad. In the centre of the northern ring were 3 large stones, one of which fell in 1713, and measuring 21 feet long. The middle stone was 16 feet broad, and the third stone stood 17 feet above the ground. Of all these circles, only 18 stones are now left. They are neither chiselled nor shaped, as are the stones of Stonehenge, and from their signs of weathering are considered to be at least twice as old. And that's significant, guys. The 29 acres enclosed by the temple are divided into unequal quarters by the crossing of the modern roads, which now forms the centre of the village. At the point where the road issues from the temple, the bank has been thrown down and the ditch filled up, while a further portion of the bank near the church has been removed. Many of the houses in the village were built with sarsen stones from the temple. One Tom Robinson in the 18th century being especially active in his work of destruction. He first heated the stones and then soused them with cold water, when they were easily broken with sledgehammers, and it is said that one stone alone yielded 20 good cartloads.
Windmill Hill, a large and famous Neolithic causeway enclosure. On this grassy hill lies the earliest monument in the Avebury landscape. If you look carefully, you'll be able to find the earthwork for a triple ditched enclosure built about 5,500 years ago. And that's kind of an artist's impression. There's not a lot to see up there, guys. but we've got the sun coming up over there in the morning, right in line with Avebury. So if we get a good morning, we might be able to see it at its best. Fingers crossed, eh? So that's all my gear. That's all I need. I've got a pillar, I've got a mat, a bit more food left, my stove and my sleeping bag. And I've pitched early, guys. I mean, I've got about an hour of daylight left now, that's all. But that's tomorrow's walk. Up on the hill up there, Oldbury Hill. And we're going to make our way over to them hills over there. And what links them two hills, guys, is Wansdyke. It's a Saxon dyke. You know, and I've seen some fantastic pictures of it. It's about the best dyke in country. They say Orpheusdyke is the longest, but Wansdyke is the best preserved. So I'm looking forward to that. So there we go, all set up. These thermarest mats are absolutely fantastic. Probably need a new sleeping bag now. Had the old rab for a while. Always nice to get set up though. So the Avebury Complex is vast. It covers a massive amount of land. And over here we've got the hills with the outlying forts that were all connected to Avebury. So if yesterday was all about the monuments, today's about the hills. Great Shadow Hill. Oh, just got across that field in time. Flipping heck. Just come through that gate over there. Morning fellas, how you all doing? Hey? So I wonder where all those missing stones went from the circle. So this is marked on the map, guys, as earthworks, but it's on a direct westerly line from Avebury. So I believe this is connected. I believe the Western Avenue would have come through here and it would have taken us right to the fort at Albury, which is the prominent spot looking west. The Eastern Avenue took you up to the sanctuary and beyond. Guys, you've got Marlborough about 5 miles east of Avebury, and there's another Salisbury Hill there. It's in the college grounds. I've never been, but I was told about it yesterday. On a direct easterly line of the avenue. Look at these trees, man. So like my little book suggests, guys, all the hill forts, all the earthworks, all the stones, the standing stones, the avenues, the circles, all built by the same culture. Stonehenge, Avebury, you've got Newgrange in Ireland, and you've got the Great Pyramid of Giza. Such a huge, huge claim. But it's one I'm beginning to look at as having a bit of validity. I'm loving these trees. Fantastic earthworks here, guys. So you can see our start point yesterday, Barbury Castle up there on the ridgeway. And everything in the foreground is the Avebury Complex. Or it would have been back in the day. So just to right over here. Got Salisbury Hill again. And you can see the ridge. You can see the ridge here that we've just walked along where the earthworks were. Heading west, all the way up here. You can see down there just how big Barbury Castle would have been. There's earthworks right down into the valley protecting this area. It's an amazing landscape, guys. Stunning.
I cross this land, I cross these seas, I cross my heart and go to thee. I take your hand.
So this path is marked on the map as a Roman road. Now you can hang your hat on the fact that all the Roman roads were the old green roads from the Neolithic period. Sure, the Romans updated them, and during the Iron Age they updated them, but they originate from that time when everything down there was as boggy as you like. So I've just dropped off the White Horse Trail. I've been on the Mid Wiltshire Trail and just round corner here, guys, we've got Wansdyke Path. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that, because all the earthworks that we've seen up to now are Neolithic, Stone Age into the Neolithic period, as we've been saying, but Wansdyke is relatively modern in comparison. Welcome to Morgan's Hill.
You float like a butterfly, sing.
There you go, guys, Wansdyke.
Warm like the summer sun, and wild as the sea. Soft as the morning dew, you dance like the spring. The start of the river is where we begin, and as you flow into my open arms, we let it grow. So hold me closer now, I won't let go. I won't let go. Fly like a mockingbird, soar like the breeze, run through the forest, and climb in the trees, travel the long road, and there by your side, the highest of mountains and the ocean's wide, and as you flow into my open arms, so hold me closer now, I won't let go.
So down there we've got a big old enclosure. That's all it says on the map, just enclosure, big square enclosure. But look, guys, I don't know if you can see, but there's them 3 deer again. I saw them about an hour ago. There they are. Little belts and smoked down baby.
Fly like a mockingbird, soar like the breeze, run through the forest, and climb in the trees, travel the long road, and there by your side, the highest of mountains and the ocean's wide.
A massive big ditch. A bank and a ditch. Now there's 3 stories attached to this bank and ditch, and it ain't Neolithic, it ain't Stone Age, Iron Age or any of them. Dates back to post-Roman. There's a road that comes across it about 5 miles that way, and when they were digging the road out they excavated this bank, and on ground level under the bank they found a Roman sandal. Of all the things, eh? So they kind of know that the dirt was thrown on after the Roman times. So it's speculated that it were ancient Britons defending against the Saxons, but there's no evidence that the Saxons invaded this country. They more or less infiltrated during the Roman period. So I don't buy that. There's another theory that it was Saxon against Saxon, you know, Mercia against Wessex. I ain't buying that, because the Saxons weren't like that. There might have been fringes on that were like that, but overall. And the final one is it was the Saxons against the Danes, the Vikings. because everything south of us here is Wessex. Everything north, it was Daneland back in the day. There it is, the giant's grave. Oh. I think I'm going to pitch up here. If I pitch up here, I can walk through that way in the morning. So I don't know if you can see that right on the horizon, but that's got to be Wales for sure. I can see the Black Mountains. I can see a bit of the Brecons as well. Morning guys, just gonna have my porridge. So there you go, packed up, ready to go. Not a bad spot. There were giants in the earth in those days and after, and they were mighty men, men of renown. Now that's a line from the Bible, guys. Not that I'm a Bible guy, but when it's talking about my favourite subject, it gets me attention. All Saints Church, Alton Priers. There's Wansdyke, and it's known as Adam's grave now because it's said to be about 5,500 years old. But back in antiquity, guys, it was always known as the Giant's grave. Good to see the swallows doing well. Hundreds of them here. Now this absolute beauty is one tree. I've seen some impressive views in my time, but man, this is special. All these churches, guys, were built on old pagan sites, as you know. But inside this church, we've got a sarsen stone buried under the floorboards. Again, lots of pagan offerings, poor glasses down there. So the yew, 1800 years old. Twice the age of the church. So the Great Stones Way continues through the Pewsey Valley to the next high point and onwards for another 10 miles before it reaches Durrington Walls. And then you've got Woodhenge, Stonehenge, Kingbarrow, and then onwards to Old Sarum. But I'm going to go way beyond Old Sarum. I'm going to take us right down into Dorset, because these hill forts and these old ridgeway roads just go on forever in this landscape.